Electric fence energizers. We talked about fencing in the livestock section and about the actual fencing materials, but we didn't mention energizers. I've used probably 12 or 15 different energizers over my 30 years of keeping animals in, and I finally learned buy the most powerful one you can afford. You never hear anybody saying, or I never have, ah, gee, I wish I hadn't bought that nice energizer. I don't need it. You know, you won't be sorry, especially once you get vegetation growing on it. Wind blows it into a tree nearby, so it's reduced in power. This is one from Premier, and I've been thrilled with it. Ground rods, one of the biggest limiting factors in the effectiveness of electric fence is enough ground rods. I had to learn this the hard way. I now have 6, about 12 feet apart, in moist ground. Has a tremendous impact on how much juice your charger puts out. Then there are a multitude of solar powered chargers that you can put on a fence post. Brad showed one in his operation. Here's a couple more. Jen, I know, uses them with her rotational grazing. Just match your energizer to the number of miles of fencing you have. And remember that 4 strands of electric remember to add the other 3 strands, the length of them, when you're calculating how many miles it is that you're trying to run. Okay, next slide, please. Excuse me. Next slide, Cinda. Hello? Okay, hauling animals, yes. Bottom line, safe, secure, easy to get animals in and out. You can use a stock trailer. The one in the center is a flatbed trailer that a farmer did a really nice job of building a enclosure on. He's got it divided in 2 parts. Nice loading ramp for the animals to get in and out easily. I would want to put some, of course, plan on having some kind of side rails, depending on what your unloading situation is. And the lower left is a chute, a portable chute. If you have a high trailer, this is an excellent idea. You do not want to be picking up animals and throwing them into a trailer. It's killer on your back. It's stressful for them. You can build a ramp quite inexpensively. And it needs to fit your location, where you're going to be doing your loading. In the upper right-hand corner, those are some happy pigs in there. What a lot of people are doing who are not slaughtering their pigs at home, if they have to take them to a processor, you know, pigs are not really the easiest things in the world to move around. So they feed the pigs in the trailer, put some nice straw, hay in there, make it comfortable. One night, when the pigs are around 6 months old, they put the feed in there, the pigs go in, and the door gets closed. That's it. Simple, calm, easy. Great idea. On the bottom right, I don't know how many of you have seen something like this on the highway. I have. You don't see it very often, fortunately. Now, this is a way to get animals from one place to the next, but it's not recommended. It's not very safe. However, that stock rack, and you can find these on Craigslist very inexpensively, is great for moving smaller animals like goats or sheep or pigs or steers, young steers. They're very handy. It's nice if you have a gate in the back. I can't quite tell from this picture if it's got a gate or just the whole panel comes off. So safe, secure, easy to work with. Next slide, please. And have some kind of plan. Even if you're not, next slide, not going to be taking animals to slaughter, what if you have to take them to the vet? How are you going to move them? These are just a few assorted trailers that can work for you. A small upper left, a small trailer behind a 4-wheeler. This one, frankly, looks like it probably would carry big rocks, and it looks like maybe it's a dump. It's a big truck, a big trailer. But even the small ones are extremely useful for hauling stuff around your farm. The nice little, in the center, that nice little flatbed trailer is a bumper pull, and frankly, my recommendation for flatbed trailers is this style. If you're going to be hauling hay, It's so much easier to load hay onto a trailer that's fairly low to the ground. If you're out in your field driving driving a trailer around picking up bales of hay, or it's just infinitely easy to get on, get off, and you can carry lots of different things on it. Upper right, remember I mentioned earlier bringing home a 1-ton tote of grain. This is a small pickup bed trailer, but it's a nice example of somebody doing a good job of renovating it. You probably want an 8-foot pickup bed because it's more versatile. It's 8 feet long. You can carry more stuff in it, and these can be had very cheaply used. Center row, these are both called car haulers, designed for moving cars here and there. And as you can see, the wheel wells, well, it reduces your usable trailer space because you've got those wheel wells there. The one on the left with the side rail, granted, it'll help keep stuff in, but just remember, at least your first load of hay, you're going to have to be throwing it over that. Not the end of the world. What I like about the one in the center is that it has a bang board, meaning if you jam on your brakes, what's sitting on the trailer is going to hit that instead of flying off the trailer. That's kind of a short bang board, but the other thing about that trailer, it's nice, as you can see, the side rails are removable. A manufactured trailer like this often will have holes in the steel rails on both sides, so you can build side panels and stick 2x4s in those holes. Very handy. The bottom right is a gooseneck trailer. I don't have one, but I've driven them, and I know they're a dream to back up. Infinitely easier than a bumper pull. Just something to think about, how much money you have and what you're going to be hauling. Well, guess what? I've forgotten if I have another slide. Cinda, let's see. Sorry. Oh, good. Yes, this is my last slide. Sorry, spaced that one out. Here are a few resources. You'll notice I didn't talk about animal facilities because, as I said earlier, minimal facilities are required, and we wanted to be able to spend some time on hay tonight. So Carol Acarius, the woman who wrote your small-scale livestock farming book, which is part of this course, wrote a great one on building animal housing. And then there are a couple of other resources too. Oops, I'm over my time. Thank you very much, everybody. Colette?
Thank you, Melissa. Jen wanted just to make a few comments about waters.
Sure.
Hi, I just wanted to add a few things to what Melissa talked about. Since water is something that is so critical to livestock and is such a hard thing to deal with in climates where we have freezing weather. So I just wanted to make a few comments because I'm fairly well versed on using a variety of different things. Using something in the summer versus the winter can be drastically different, and I'll just kind of give a little overview of what we do briefly. In the summertime, since we're mob grazing and moving our animals daily, we use the plastic tanks that Melissa mentioned for the same reason. They're longer lasting, more durable, can handle being moved around a lot. We get the 100-gallon ones and use those for a lot of livestock. We just get 2 of them if we have 30 head or so. And they're very easy to move, which is an added bonus when you have a permanent water source and animals are constantly coming to it. Melissa mentioned it with the grain feeders, where there was a spot where you want to gravel it if it's in a permanent location. The nice thing about these big plastic ones is they're very light and easy to move, and you're not getting that spot that's getting denuded of vegetation because animals are constantly coming to it. If you move them around, it eliminates that problem. So that's what we use in the summertime, and we have a tank that we pull behind our four-wheeler to haul water to the tanks and move them on a daily basis that we fill from a spring. In the wintertime, we use what is similar to what Melissa had shown with you can buy single-sided or double-sided waters, but The thing that is different about the ones she mentioned is that ours are geothermally heated, so there's no electricity running to them, which doesn't sound like a very big deal, but it is. And the reason why is because when you're comparing something like this to the ones that are similar but maybe $100 or $150 cheaper that have electricity, you're constantly, every month, when we have a winter in our region where, you know, there's probably a good 5 or 6 months out of the year where you're going to be needing to water animals that way, you're paying for that to run every single day, every time an animal gets a drink. It adds up. Just as an example, for the 100, we also have a big 300-gallon water tank with one of the floating waters in it. That's $250 a day to keep that water from freezing. And so thinking about the added up costs of what it takes to run a heater to keep water from freezing is a good thing to think about in the investment that you're putting into something. The geothermal ones that we have, we can put it in a winter pen where we divide the fence in the middle of the water. We can have 2 different groups of animals, like say calves or mother pregnant cows or a bull, or we can have a herd of sheep on one side, and you can balance out how much water. All the animals do is there's a ball that closes up the hole where the animals access the water. They push the ball down and can get the water out of there, and then the ball pops right back up and closes the hole. And the water that's coming into there is just going down into the ground level enough that it's keeping it heated from the heat from the earth. And they're great. A double-sided one of those is a $500 investment. A single one is about $400. And it's been, you know, that's one of the biggest questions that I have people ask me about things when we're doing farm tours or talking about keeping livestock. Can you ever leave here? We can, and one of the biggest reasons is because of these, and because water is an issue. And the way that we migrated into having something like this has been, there's been enough winters where we've had 4 or 5 feet of snow, and I've hauled from my garden 5-gallon buckets of water through a tiny little trail up, you know, 300 yards to a water tank that I'm filling up with water where a water line doesn't go to. So that's another thing to think about too. Where your winter pens are, you need to have access to water to go into the water where you're going to keep it also. So I just wanted to make a couple of those points, because water in the winter time, you know, like now for us, I check the water every day, make sure that it's functioning properly, which it always is, and we've never had a problem with it. Or it could be a really huge, daunting task to keep your animals in clean, fresh water all the time.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. That's great.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
and Melissa, that was a great presentation that you gave, and we do have one question. And Amanda's asking, how do you get the animals into the back of the truck? Is there some sort of removable ramp they walk up?
Yes, remember in that slide, I think we could go back one slide, Cinda, and you'll see it. I had an example. No, go back one more. Yeah. One more slide. Yeah, on the bottom left, that's a ramp. Now that's a purchased ramp, but you can build a ramp with easily plywood, 2x4s. I think the key is simply you build it to match your situation, where you're going to be, where your holding area is with your animals, where you're going to back your trailer up to, and that'll tell you how long it should be and how high it should be. But it should have rails. Enclosed is easier, like using plywood, but you can get away with getting them up a ramp with hog panels.